Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I am your host Sri Iyer. Abhijit Iyer-Mitra joins me today and we are going to talk about our favorite topic, Pakistan. Now,
Jai Shri Ram.
some of you may have read on social media about this news and you may have wondered, how is it first of all that there is a secret nuclear plant in Pakistan employing Chinese and then those Chinese get afflicted with dengue fever? What about the Pakistanis who are working there? And the third bigger important question is, why are Chinese working in a nuclear plant in Pakistan? So I have a lot of questions of this kind of thing. While Pakistan is putting on a brave face, trying to recruit people, in fact they went and damaged the Indian High Commission second time through rotten eggs and whatnot, and they're also trying to mobilize a 100,000 strong crowd to protest against Modi when he comes visiting to Houston to the latter part of this month. So they're desperate. I mean, some of their spokespersons are talking wild venom that is just not acceptable. So be that as it may, what's really going on in Pakistan, and to be more precise, what happened at this nuclear site? I'm also hearing something more. I'm going to hold back on that question. Abhijit, what are your thoughts on this?
So, three things. First is desperation that nobody's taking their side on Kashmir.
Yes.
Not even China.
Yes.
Second is the way the economy is going, because the $6 billion IMF bailout, most of it will go into settling the arbitration that's gone against them on the mines case. So it's a $5.8 billion fine.
So that kind of cancels each other out.
And the third is this bizarre story about the nuclear reactor of some 200 odd Chinese people contracting dengue.
Right.
Now, there's a backstory to this, see, because certain things from unconnected events. For example, you remember there was the Syrian nuclear reactor at Deir ez-Zor, which nobody in the world knew about till the Israelis bombed it. And it became news. And it turns out the Israelis had found out about it 4 or 5 years back when there was an unconnected massive so-called chemical explosion in North Korea in one of their nuclear plants. And what had happened at that point was the Israelis weren't concerned about it, except they started seeing Syrian planes come back with coffins from North Korea. And they were really surprised. They're like, why are there Syrians in North Korea of all places?
You're hearing this for the first time.
It's actually out there. But
well, our viewers, I like to think that they're hearing it for the first time.
Our viewers are getting it. Insha Ganesha, you are. So what happens is, they trace these bodies, they activate sources in North Korea and they trace it to the nuclear program out there. It has nothing to do with the chemical factory. Then they started tracking North Korean nuclear scientists and they tracked them to a place in the desert where they found this fully functioning nuclear reactor being built. And what they did was they waited for the reactor to be built, but they waited till before the reactor went critical
and then they
destroyed it.
Of course.
Now,
because you get all the things at once, raw materials, the trigger, the detonator,
the people
the whole
inside,
nine yards.
most importantly the people inside.
That's right, that too.
Because you can lose capital, but it's brain power. When you lose it, you can never get it back.
Correct.
So this is why Germany was able to rebuild after the war immediately, because it had lost infrastructure, but it hadn't lost the brain power of all the industrialists and all of that, who hadn't gone off and fought and died and all of that, right? So what happens here is that we now have this very curious conundrum that 200 Chinese people working in a nuclear reactor, which we knew about, because they used it's called a grandfathering clause, saying that we built all these nuclear reactors in Pakistan before, and there was a follow-on contract that Pakistan could exercise options for more. So even though it's not an NPT country, we can build all these additional reactors as well, Kushab and all of that. Anyway, now how did suddenly Chinese, 200 of them, come up with dengue? Now there's two explanations for this. One is that it isn't dengue, or two, that dengue mosquitoes are racist mosquitoes.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Otherwise, why would dengue mosquitoes target just the Chinese?
Yes.
And we know for a fact mosquitoes are not racist. Racism
Correct.
is a very late human phenomenon.
Right.
So it therefore has to be the other, that something clearly has hit these Chinese engineers, and it's certainly nothing to do with dengue. Of course, we won't know till we interview these scientists, and of course, we also know we'll never get to interview these scientists, which in itself is a question. Why are there no visuals of these Chinese scientists?
Right.
There's no talking to them, nothing, blah blah blah. They've been taken back to China or whatever, and
Have they been taken back to
well,
China?
we don't know yet because the story ends there. We don't know what's happened after that.
There's an interesting side story also that a plane containing we don't know what went 60 kilometers into the Arabian Sea and then crashed into it.
Oh, I didn't follow that. No.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the other interesting question. What exactly was in that plane that went 60 kilometers and then?
I would have missed it completely. Yeah. I don't know about this at all. So this is point number one. Number two is the Pakistanis must really be wondering what to do about their arbitration and the economic issues, right? They were really counting on those $6 billion to come in, and now they don't know what's going to happen when 5.8 billion has to be paid out in arbitration. But we should also remember that most of the Pakistani economy is an informal economy. So, a lot of things can happen formally.
They should be reading India Uninc by Professor R. Vaidyanathan.
And it will not affect...
I'm hoping that there'll be a big splurt in Amazon.p. What is the PK?
I don't think there's an Amazon.pk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's no
Okay.
Amazon.pk.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not a big enough market for there to be an Amazon.pk. I think they have to buy it from wherever. But anyway, so what happens is that they will hobble along. It will never be as bad as, say, Iran is at the moment with the cash shortages and the liquidity shortages. So we don't know how it will affect it, except that it reduces. And see, the third part of the economy that you need to understand is for the elite Pakistanis who have always controlled Pakistan, that creamy layer of 2 to 3% or whatever, Pakistan is a holiday home for them. It's where they do all their filth and their politics and all of that. But they all live in Dubai, London, Houston, Boston and all those areas, right? That is their main...
Canada too.
Canada too, and so on and so forth. So they can afford to play hopscotch with them, because even if their economic opportunities in Pakistan are reduced, it's not reduced in Dubai, it's not reduced in London, it's not reduced in Toronto, it's not reduced in San Francisco, wherever. So that isn't going to hurt them too much. Because of the informal economy, the ordinary Pakistanis won't get hurt too much, because they've never really... It's feudal. They've never really trusted in financial devices and monetary devices and all of that. So you may not see such a great social fallout. So there's also a room for caution out here that, when Indians start rubbing their hands in glee, it's sort of a formal economy laughing at an economy that they don't really understand truly. Because Indian elites are invested in India, Indian poor people are also invested in India.
Right.
So everything affects us, formal or informal. Pakistan, that's not the case. That's number two. Number three is what's happening with CPEC, because they themselves are going out of their way to sabotage CPEC because they realize it's a colonial adventure. So, they're going around begging America, they always used to play off China against America against China. And the Americans mostly fell for it, except they're not falling for it anymore. Which is why I find China going into Iran to help them particularly interesting. Because I don't know, it's again reduces Pakistan's negotiating room with America for freebies and goodies and things like that. Right. Just so long as somebody is able to assure stability in Afghanistan.
Well, is China's move with Iran something like my enemy's enemy is my friend?
Yes and no. It's enemy's enemy considering America's enemy.
Correct.
But it'll probably end up exacerbating a lot of problems between Iran and Pakistan. For the longest time, even under the Shah, there were no real problems between Iran and Pakistan. But now the more and more Sunni that Pakistan becomes, because the Bhuttos are a Shia family.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Bhuttos
I know Bhutto's mom was Hindu.
Bhutto's grandmom was
Hindu.
As in the current Bhutto's grandmom is...
No, I'm talking about Zulfikar.
Zulfikar's mum was Hindu.
Hindu, right?
Yeah.
Father was Muslim, Prime Minister of Junagadh.
Yeah. But they're a Shia family. Because, even the Bhutto's wife herself is Iranian. She's an Iranian Begum.
Which one? I thought he had married twice.
No, Nusrat.
The Zulfikar Ali Bhutto married twice. One was older than him. The first wife was older than him.
But the Benazir's mother is Iranian.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's half Iranian. Which accounts for the good looks and everything like that.
I see.
Because
Okay.
The Iranians are very
I'll take your word
statuesque.
for it.
They're very statuesque people.
Sita, land of Sita.
Allegedly. We don't know that for a fact.
No, not Sita. Sorry, Kaikei. Land of Kaikei.
Again, we don't know that for a fact. That's
Kaikei
just
is
based on
supposed to be
etymology,
Iran.
Caucasus and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
No. But you know, the fun thing about Iran is, if any of you go to Iran, notice this, you'll see a lot of young people when they're around 18, 19 walk around with a little band-aid on their nose.
Why is that?
Because the coming of age gift in Iran for all young people by their parents is a nose job.
I see.
You're given a nose lift.
Oh,
And
to
what
make it like an inverted 7?
Well, like whatever, it's just meant to be sharper and more statuesque. And what happens is that if you're
I see
poor,
that you have a cut on your nose too.
yeah, but that was different. That was when I banged my head. It's not on my nose. It's on my forehead almost. And it's when I banged my head against the dining table. But what happens here is, besides I have a very stubby, pudgy nose. If any PGuru viewers want to donate for Buy Poor Abhijit a nose job fund, I accept. I accept dollars, pounds, euros. I also accept transfer to my Lufthansa Miles and More program and my Singapore Airlines Silver Crisp program. And also, if there's the second a more very deserving cause, it's Buy Poor Abhijit, the Ferrari fund, because Somali famine victims don't cut it anymore. Look at me. Poor sorry person, you need
Look,
to buy me a
we're
Ferrari.
talking about something really serious, and this is a PGurus channel.
Well,
PGurus doesn't believe in asking for money.
Look, you're talking about fuel. Ferraris run on fuel, therefore I'm sorry it is connected to that. But anyway, okay, jokes aside now,
Yes.
no Ferraris, but please do donate to the Buy Poor Abhijit, the Ferrari fund. There's a new Ferrari out that I have my eyes on anyway. So let's go back to Pakistan.
And you're planning to drive it on Delhi roads?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. No, I just had this outlandish thought of, I had this vision of you carrying your Ferrari and, like a weightlifting. You can exercise and you can also be looking around. Look, I go around with a Ferrari.
No. I intend to drive around and wave like the Queen of England and people with the roof down and la-di-da. But anyway, back to Pakistan. So Iran, this is a very strange thing that I noticed. The Afghans don't really have a country because it's in tatters.
Yes.
But they've got this strong sense of self, and they've got a culture and a civilization. The Pakistanis have always defined themselves by who they are not.
Correct.
They are not Hindus. They tried to be Iranians
But
for a while.
their ancestors are Hindus.
Well, they can never accept that.
Even Afghan ancestors are Hindus. Even Iranian ancestors are Hindus. Even Iraqian ancestors are Hindus. You just want to find out how far back you want to go in time.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So what happens here is they tried to be Iranians for a while. That failed. Then they're trying to be Arabs. Hence, all those number plates with Al-Pakistan on it kind of thing.
Okay.
So, there's this whole Farsi craze. Now there's an Arabic craze going on in Pakistan. It's psychologically, to define yourself by what you are not rather than what you are, seeking connection with somebody else's culture that's not your own. Psychologically, that's going to be a very, very terrifying place to be in. But it just shows you the different levels of screwed up that Pakistan is. I think one of the uniform conversation that I have with my friends in Pakistan is that they finally it's not finally, they've always known America has been a great friend to them, but they also realize they've screwed over America. And they also feel that they need to play the victim narrative that America screwed us over in order to,
America
poke
is
at America's sense of
recognizing that,
fair play
yes,
and getting money out of them. But then there's another problem, which is that they are all dead scared of China. They do not want to see CPEC go through. Because for them, CPEC is just a full-on neo-colonial project. And remember, America is very forgiving about things. China is not.
Right.
When China says,
will extract its pound of flesh.
stand, you jump, right? So they're not crazy about this whole CPET going through in spite of all the bravado. And you read all the Chinese language texts that have been coming out. They've been complaining about how the Pakistani government itself is trying to sabotage a lot of programs. At any rate, we've discussed this on PGurus before.
Yes.
It's a financially unsustainable project.
That's right.
You know, this is like, you can still go back to the 50s and 60s highways in Africa.
Right.
They're highways to nowhere, literally.
Correct,
Because
correct.
they never led to
Anything
entrepreneurship
useful.
or anything useful.
Right.
So it's, let's see, I'm personally, and I can see this in Pakistanis, they know they're screwed. Even Pakistani army people, military people, not army people, military people that I know they're screwed. They admit as much in private. The problem is they don't see a way out.
Well,
I mean, you tell me one valid way out. Can they roll back fundamentalism? No, because the genie once it's let out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. Can they roll back on Wahhabism? No. Can they roll back on this whole Arabization identity? No. Can they roll back on the national identity of Pakistan, which is linked to not being Indian, perpetually fighting India? No. Can they roll back on support to the Taliban? No. Tell me, what is it today that Pakistan can do?
Okay, couple of questions on this. In the previous episode, we talked about how Pakistan is becoming Punjabized, and all the regions
already has been. I mean,
already
it's not
has
Punjabized
been,
now.
Right now, even in the Pak-occupied Kashmir, they have resettled a lot of Punjabis now, second generation there, and so even if India were to occupy Punjab, Pak-occupied Kashmir. What are they going to do with those who have settled from Punjab?
So
you can't drive them back because they have grandsons and children and so on and so forth.
So here's the funny thing, these Mirpuris and things like that, they were never really Kashmiris to begin with. So remember, Kashmir itself was an artificial entity created by the Maharajas of Kashmir, okay, the Dogra Rajas. And if you look at Dogra itself, it's a rather crude version of Punjabi in that sense. So if you look
at Dogra language is very similar to Punjabi.
Right? So if you look at Kashmir...
pardon me guys, I don't know either language, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
Kashmir, what we call Kashmir today, Kashmiri,
Kashmir,
that Vazwan cooking and all of that, Gushtaba, Rishta and all of that, that is restricted to Srinagar and the Srinagar valley around it, the Vale of Kashmir as it's called, right? So you go up to the Gujars and Bakarwal communities and all of that, that's the Rajma Chawal belt. Jammu is the complete Indian Punjab, I mean Dogra's kind of, it's like Lehenda and Punjabi, the difference kind of thing. Dogra and dialects, fine, but that. On the Pakistani side, Mirpur has always in that sense been Punjabi, right? You go up north, Gilgit-Baltistan was Shia and Nurbak Shia.
Right. And they have different language, the whole thing is different.
And it's the Aga Khan, the Ismaili sect and all of that, right? You look at the Ladakh cognate region, not Gilgit-Baltistan, but further north, the Sakshgam Valley and all of that. It's Turkic, right? They're typically Mongoloid, Turco-Mongol, slant eyes and all of that. And so it's always been a very heterogeneous population, right? So in that sense, what Pakistan is doing, the only important... We shouldn't look at the Punjabization of AJK, because AJK, that thin sliver of AJK, Muzaffarabad and all of that has always been in a sense Punjabi, Dogri Punjabi kind of thing. It's really what we should be looking at is Gilgit-Baltistan and the northern areas, because that is where they've now put in a Sunni majority. Right, so
this is like demographically changed.
It's demographically changed. Now the second thing is, if you look at the Pakistan army, the highest number were Punjabis, but the second highest, especially in officer corps, were Pashtuns.
Right.
But even there, the thing was, it was the Punjabization of the Pashtuns.
Okay.
They had to sort of Punjabize in that sense to get acceptability.
But Bajwa is an Ahmadiyya.
That doesn't matter.
No, what I'm saying is he also Punjabi.
Bajwa is not. Bajwa is Punjabi.
No, I think
Bajwa is a Punjabi name.
He's Ahmadiyya.
No.
Somewhere I read it, I'm very sure.
No. His relative is an Ahmadiyya. He's married his brother-in-law.
Okay, we'll sort this thing out.
Something is an Ahmadiyya. There's an Ahmadiyya connection there, but it's not him. He's definitely not an Ahmadiyya. So there's all of this. Balochistan is now being forced to comply. Sindh anyway had been colonized long back. And this Sindh, what people don't talk about is also the fact that it's not just been a Punjabi colonization, it's also been a Pashtun colonization.
Really?
Because Karachi is the biggest Pashtun city on earth. Bigger than Kabul, bigger than Rawalpindi.
That's news to me. I thought MQM's move.
No. So it's like how New York has more Jews than Israel does, or at least did for a long time. Karachi has more Pashtuns than any other. Karachi is the biggest Pashtun city today.
I see.
So again, this Punjabization of Pakistan has been happening for a very long time. It's a complete process. Now I don't. You only have fringe opposition here and there. There's no real opposition to it.
Well, so Pakistan doesn't really gain from this $6 billion loan from IMF. That's why you're probably seeing all these other austerity measures being put in place. And
dengue isn't killing the Chinese engineers,
right?
Unless we've developed a new strain of racist mosquitoes.
Well, my fear is that it shouldn't start something like what happened in 1971, where you have a refugee influx into India. I don't think.
Where the refugees going to come from?
I'm just saying, it's possible.
I don't think it will. If anything, look, again, we discussed.
It's a pretty porous border, right?
It was. Right now, you can't have large-scale movement of people anymore.
Okay. All the way across the desert.
Across the desert, you can see the fencing.
Okay.
That's come up, right? You can see the lights on the fencing that have come up. It's quite fine. No border will work 100%.
Right,
but even if it works 95-96%,
that's good enough. Yeah.
It's good enough. And again, like we discussed, there are different things. The informal economy that holds the poor back, which will always prevent them from going over the edge. There's the fact that the elites have their homes in Dubai, London, Massachusetts, and wherever, which really means Pakistan's not going to go over the edge.
Well, hold on. Pakistan could squeeze out of all these loans and commitments by just breaking up into four. Then there is no more Pakistan. The West Punjab, Sindh, and Balochistan.
Not really, because you have the successor state theory. They'll all be held equally liable for those loans. Unless, like when the Soviet Union broke up, Russia declared itself the successor because it wanted the UN Security Council seat, and it took on all the debts, loans, and credits of the USSR.
That's an interesting read. I didn't know that.
So there is always the successor state theory, which is why Pakistan got independence from us a day before, because Pakistan technically wasn't the successor state. India is the successor state to British India, not Pakistan.
Right. That's right.
Right. So there's that very clear jurisprudence, which in this case, if nobody decides that it's the successor to Pakistan, the debts, liabilities, and all of that will all be apportioned equally in that sense.
I've been long thinking about this, that instead of trying to take back POK, maybe India should take back Lahore. It's close enough. And that's the nerve center of the country.
I disagree with this completely. I believe in the two-nation theory in that sense. It gave us breathing room. Can you imagine if both these countries were a part of India right now, Bangladesh and Pakistan? What a complete hellhole we'd be at the moment.
Well, it depends. I mean, you see, I think these are all theoretical, hypothetical.
They are theoretical,
we can't really
deal. So this is the thing. You took it down a hypothetical path, so I'm going down that hypothetical. The point is, they exist, and I would never ever want that kind of a severely radicalized, brainwashed population being integrated into the Indian population.
Same applies to POK.
Ever.
Same applies to POK.
Same applies to POK.
So why even try to lust for it?
So here's the point. I don't want POK.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy for the POK to be POK. I'm quite happy for Gilgit-Baltistan to be Gilgit-Baltistan. If there are human rights violations there or in Balochistan happening, well, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm very sorry for you, but don't look to us for help. You've gotten to the situation yourself. If you can extricate yourself, congratulations to you. Champagne corks in Delhi. If not, not my problem.
Well, that's really very interesting. So India doesn't need to really worry about, I guess, annexing anything. You just need to normalize Kashmir, because that could be an engine of growth. I mean, I do believe that if you have no problems in Kashmir, tourism alone is a huge. I mean, India can tour there instead of going to Switzerland.
It's not just tourism, but I also think that this whole nonsense about demographic change in Kashmir is complete rubbish. I'll tell you why. Because I'm half Bengali, half Tamil.
Right.
We've never had an Article 370 protecting us.
Correct.
And yet Bengali movies remain Bengali movies, Bengali cuisine remains Bengali cuisine, Bengali culture remains Bengali culture. When you go to Calcutta or Chandarnagar and all those places, you still speak Bengali. When you come to Tamil Nadu, you still get Tamil food.
And he's being very fair, he eats once as a Bengali and he eats once as a Tamilian. Yes, go ahead.
But always pure vegetarian Sattvic food. No onion.
I thought Bengali vegetarian includes jalpush.
Yeah. So, see, mutton for us is vegetarian.
Read that up, what jalpush means.
Mutton and fish for us are vegetarian, you see. So, it's only onion and garlic that are non-vegetarian. So, for Kali Puja, we make Niramish Mangshe Jhol, which is vegetarian mutton curry, where you put mutton into it, but no onion or garlic. And
okay.
it's highly Sattvic.
Let's get back to Kashmir, right?
So all this nonsense about demographic change. Tell me which state in India has lost its identity? Has Goa lost its identity? No. Has
it
Rajasthan?
Has a bit though.
That's the natural homogenization process of every country that happens.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? And that's not because of TV.
The Goa I've seen in 1980 is different from the Goa I saw in 2003. 20 years later.
But remember, that is not demographic change.
It's not.
It's the evolution of culture.
Could be.
Right, that you all gravitate towards whatever is cool and the national culture or whatever.
Yes. Hey, today you have Sangeet in Tamil weddings.
Exactly, which we never used to have.
Yeah. I mean, people are actually smiling at weddings. I mean, this was a no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very serious, solemn
occasion.
Exactly. So, there's things like that. So, we shouldn't confuse demographic change and cultural imposition with the natural movement of Kashmiri, of how Kashmiri culture.
Although I'm looking for the day when it's going to be cool to make idlis every day for breakfast all over India.
I doubt that's going to happen.
Mysore Pak can win.
Mysore Pak can
win. Why can't idli?
Actually, technically, it's a healthy also, by the way. It's much healthier than those horrible paratha things that people eat up north. Very shocking. It's very bad for you. It's going to kill you. Please switch to idli. Some heart attack warning from certified health people. As you can see, I'm very fit, so when I give you a health warning, you better listen to it. But anyway, back to Kashmir. How is the Wahhabization?
This is a Seinfeld kind of episode where we're talking about everything, and then finally we realize that oops, we were supposed to be talking about Kashmir.
No. I'm a great health expert and I'm highly fit. Okay, I have six-pack abs and all of that. Don't listen to this man. He's just jealous because I'm very healthy and he's very fat and unfit and I'm not. So don't listen to that. Listen to me. So Kashmir. So what happens with Kashmir is, how is the Wahhabization of Kashmir not a erosion of culture? Why are they not? Exactly, yes. Right. So there's all these things happening there. Second thing about Kashmir is that things seem to be quite normal out there.
Yeah, see, that's the other important thing. Don't listen to what New York Times, BBC and all these other people are saying. In fact, I'm extremely disappointed with Bernie Sanders for making those crass comments about Kashmir, as well as all the other US congressmen who've been wading into the waters without understanding the word Hindutva and so on and so forth. Topic for a different date. Yeah. But ground situation in Kashmir.
Ground situation in Kashmir is that what is happening basically is that parents are afraid to send their kids to school because the terrorists will target them. The first kid going to school will probably get shot by these terrorists. The first man to open a shop, there was a man who tried last week and you remember the terrorists killed him when he opened a shop. So what you need to do, so there's a template for this. What happened in 1963, I think it was, when the Hazratbal crisis happened, when the hair of the Prophet...
1990s.
It was 1960. That was a different Hazratbal crisis. That was terrorists going and occupying Hazratbal. This was the theft of the hair of the Prophet from the Hazratbal shrine in 1963 or 67, I forget. But anyway, what happened then was that there was a full-on hartal and all of that. And the army, to get people back to open their shops and all of that, they started breaking the lock, saying, look, we're going to open your shops. If you want to protect what's inside the shop, you better come and run the shop.
I see.
So the moment you put in, if 100 shops open, who can the terrorists target?
Right.
They can't pick that one man that has the guts to open
Correct.
that shop,
Correct.
right? Similarly with school, if you go around saying we're going to send school buses, if you don't come, we'll use the truancy laws on you, saying parents are destroying the children's career by not sending them to school, because truant is. I don't know in India what the truancy law is, but bunking law or whatever.
Right.
So you send school buses out, send them into school forcibly. Who are they going to target? Right? And if you end up targeting children and shopkeepers, that if the terrorists target them, the public opinion then ricochets back.
But then why can't they eliminate the terrorists?
Because terrorists can never 100% be eliminated. Remember that. You can get rid of, and look, we're doing a very good job. The lifespan of a terrorist in Kashmir is 6 months. So you have to keep.
So why are they joining the ranks then?
They're not. They're mostly Pakistanis. There are one or two. I would say 99% of the terrorists are Pakistanis. 1% keep joining because you'll have disaffected elements in any society.
Of course.
Tomorrow, if I want to start a terrorist,
law of averages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to start a terrorist, I don't know, anti-fat people discrimination front in Delhi.
We have to have a nice abbreviation so that we can have like anti-fat or something like that, or no fat, or thin only, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's go. How is that related to Kashmir? No, it's not. Go ahead.
So the point is, if I want to start a terrorist organization, I just need to identify a set of extreme alienation or whatever, and then I can always divert it towards whatever antisocial activity I want. So it's not a big deal.
So in your opinion, these have been people who have migrated or snuck in from Pakistan and been hiding for a long time, because I don't think now anybody can come into Pakistan.
Right now the level of alert is very high.
Right.
But what you'll probably see is you'll see violence spike sometime in March, April when spring sets in. Because in winter you can't really infiltrate. I mean, you can, but it's... And you can't have stone pelting because the snow jams up the streets, and you need grip and things like that. Snow is the easiest thing. You always crack your skull and something like that in winters because the slippage is very high in winters. So stone pelting also doesn't really happen too much in winters. What we've got to watch out for is what happens in spring, because you'll have a new corps of terrorists being trained up right now. Their training would be finishing sometime that time, which is when they'll be pushed in. So we have to watch what happens then, because stone pelters are usually, it's the covering fire, because it's inaccurate. It's covering fire till they get close enough to you, and the way Jawan's vests are, they're secured through Velcro. So there's always the armpit is open, there's always the neck here. So once they get close enough to you, then they take a khanjar or a knife or something, and it's through your throat or into your arm. If it enters here, it goes straight into your heart. So it cuts the arteries circulating blood to the brain and things like that. So again, this notion of stone pelters somehow being some harmless activity, it really isn't. The next person that tells me stone pelting is harmless, I really want to take a stone and throw it to them as long as they sign a legal waiver. And I want to see their reaction after that stone hits them between their eyes.
So why isn't the Indian Army still using that human shield that they did once so effectively?
I don't think it's good for publicity, though I think it's perfectly legal, because
now they have cut off all communications.
But see, the point is you don't need it also. It was needed at that particular point because in that particular case, Lethal Gogoi was feeling quite threatened. So it was a small troop, large number of stone pelters. It was an asymmetric kind of this thing. It was perfectly legal. Remember, the military court-martial has also held that the action was legal because there is.
But he got ensnared in something else.
That was something else. I mean, वो मर्द है यार, मर्द तो सेक्स करते हैं. वो कोई स्वामी नहीं है. विवेकानंदा में कोई ये भिक्षुक नहीं है कि वो मर्द हैं, मर्द सेक्स करते हैं, and वो तो होते ही रहता है. Fine, he chose badly with that particular
poor choice. Okay.
Well, I mean, these things happen, but it isn't for his conduct in war. Right, his conduct in war has been upheld by this thing, and if you actually read the relevant ICRC conventions, it says in some cases, right, in some areas you can't do that. In certain others, it's allowed. So the Indian government can just designate that this is not the area where, and Fine. It was upheld. It was upheld by due process of law, right? Not that it should be repeated because it has a corrosive effect on troops, but once or twice agar ho jata hai when the asymmetry between your troops and stone pelters is very great, go ahead and use it. I've also heard unconfirmed reports that this guy, we always knew this particular guy was a stone pelting leader. You know, he was one of the local watchouts who would assemble people and make them pelt stones. But I've heard he's one of the people who's been arrested and he's being held in Agra at the moment.
I see.
So this fellow wasn't innocent. Huh? He's a history sheeter. He's got a history.
Now, so just to summarize this thing, people are not willing to open their shops. People are not willing to send their children.
No, they want to open shops. They want to send their kids to school. They're just too scared to do it because they don't want to be the first person to do it and then end up getting killed like that shopkeeper who was killed or like that truck driver who got killed. Which is why you need to go back to the 1963 textbook where you go forcibly open every shop and just announce it, and the shopkeepers, to protect their valuables, just have to come out en masse because there's strength in numbers. Same with schools.
Well, let's so some out of the box thinking needs to be done here to try and get this thing faster to normalcy. But food grains, shops are getting open.
There is no shortage of any of that.
Right.
There's enough mutton, there's enough food grains, there's enough vegetables, there's everything going through, right? The problem here is it depends on who you go talk to, because I've also noticed this with Kashmir. They're great experts at telling you what you want to hear.
Right.
If you want to hear that it's normal, you will get enough to prove that it's normal. If you want to hear it is not normal, you will get enough.
Again, viewers, this is just those 4 districts. Everywhere else, things are pretty. They never were a problem to start with. Ladakh is rejoicing, in fact.
Yeah.
And now Jammu is also, they're coming out. But basically, things have kind of settled down there.
They're more or less settled down. I think they've resigned to their fate. Which doesn't mean to say that it'll remain like this. But remember, not one person has been killed by security forces.
Yes.
As opposed to after Burhan Wani's death, where 46 or 47 people got killed. That's an achievement, because between not having a phone and somebody getting killed, I would much rather they did not. For example, what happened in Odisha with me, I could have either get beaten to death by goons or I could have gone to jail. I would any day prefer going to jail than...
Well, it was a very questionable thing that...
whatever. But the point there is that...
you are safer in jail.
Let's not even go there. But the point is, communications blackout or mass rioting, people getting killed, people getting injured, communications blackout is preferable to
Right, that's right.
And it's slowly going down. Let's see how it goes, because so far it's been managed pretty well, right? That said, we also need to deal with Washington Post and all of that. There's a known Pakistani stooge, that fellow Michael Kugelman or whatever, that's been saying, how is it that all the media outlets went there and they all got it wrong, blah blah blah. Well, guess what, buddy? All of these same media outlets you're talking about, BBC, New York Times, Washington Post, they all got the Iraq intelligence wrong. And it's not that they didn't have enough alternative sources. They all went with the group think. What is so surprising about that? They all went with the group think on Russiagate. The only person opposing Russiagate was Fox News. Does that mean Russiagate was true? Did that mean Iraq had weapons of mass destruction? This is the kind of idiots that Pakistan likes to pay, silra kas, what you call it? Khulle nahi hai. Bhikari, ja, khulle nahi hai mere paas. This is the kind of low class fellows that they like to cultivate, because that is the only people, they only get the dregs of the barrel left to cultivate like this. And I don't think all these news outlets have that great credibility that people... I mean, really, after Iraq, WMD and Russiagate, for you to claim you have credibility, I mean, seriously, give me a break.
I mean, it's showing in their numbers. The subscriptions are falling down, so that just speaks for itself. So, well, thank you very much, Abhijit. I think we have covered a wide amount of ground on what's happening in Pakistan. Your opinion is that it's still going to be intact as a country. I have my doubts on that. Again, your opinion is that both of us are agreed that there should be no invasion of POK. It doesn't get us anything.
Insha Ganesha, you are right. Unfortunately, I think I will be right. But Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you very much.